Hi guys, welcome back to ChessTrainer. Today in 10 minutes we'll try to build a repertoire against the open game, so 1 point e4, e5. Usually there's a lot of theory to study here because there's the Spanish, the Scotch, the Italian game, but we're going to look at this variation called the center game, which really cuts out a lot of theory. I have to say, even for me, when I played 1b4 e5, I often risked losing to it, even in some tournaments with significant prize money. So from a practical standpoint, I think it's an excellent resource. Let's see what happens in this variation. Here, black has to capture because the other moves aren't really any good. Knight to c6, white gains space. If d6, black loses the right to castle, so generally speaking, black really needs to capture on d4. At this point, we play queen takes d4, which in principle isn't exactly the most correct move because it said that the queen shouldn't be developed in the opening moves since it can be attacked quickly. However, in modern chess, these principles are starting to take a bit of a strange turn, and there are actually many openings where you can get excellent positions even by breaking some of these principles. Anyway, we play queen to d3, and after knight f6, here's the first important clarification. In the past, this variation was played with knight to c3 right away, but this is actually the wrong way to play the line, because black has this option here, bishop to b4, which is quite annoying. So instead, we start with bishop to d2, and only afterwards do we play knight to c3. In this way, black has to decide where to place this bishop, spoiler, either on e7 or on g7, and then we can calmly play knight to c3. So let's first look at the variation where black tries to fianchetto. We play knight to c3, bishop to g7, and then short castle. Okay, generally in this position, black should probably play for the break with d5. But as you can see, this is not at all easy because with the rook on d1, which let's say attacks the queen along the x-ray, black usually plays d6. And this immediately gives us an excellent position. We play f3, defending the center, but not only that. This move also serves to give our queen an entry square. We'll soon see that the queen will make this very nice maneuver. So black castles, and as we were saying earlier, we play QE1. This move manages, let's say, both to activate the bishop and to reposition this queen. Black tries to develop the rook, and here we start our attack by playing h4. So we simply want to play h5, and then, as mentioned, qh4. You can see how the pieces are coming into play. Let's see what happens if black continues to develop. A quick note, if here black also tries, let's say, to create some tricks, right? By opening the center, we basically don't care. We still play h5, just as we will in the variation we're about to see, and then q4. Anyway, let's look at this line where black develops their pieces, and at this point we play h5. In theory, we're about to sacrifice a pawn. Our idea is very simple. qh4, bg5, so let's say that maybe black has to accept the sacrifice. In any case, black is already in trouble, and this pawn, let's say, has been gladly sacrificed because after the move g4, the knight has to retreat, and after qh4, you can see how the battery we have on the h file is already looking very interesting. And here, let's say, black is already in serious trouble. For example, e5 is already a losing move because here I can immediately take space. g5. Now black can't move the knight anywhere except h5. He has to try to keep this file closed, but here we take even more space with f4, and then we take even more with f5. You see, black can't capture on f5 because obviously we take on h5, and after that we deliver mate. So here black has to retreat, and now there are really many ways to win. The one I like is to completely squeeze the opponent. Here, play f6, black moves the bishop somewhere, and after the simple bishop to e2, now there's no way to defend the h5 square. So on the next move, I take on h5, then capture with the queen, and then I'll deliver mate on h7. Let's just play the moves to demonstrate. Bishop takes h5, then queen takes h5. Now there are no ways to defend against this mate. Black can probably play this move, which saves them from mate for one move, but after taking, obviously, with the position. Knight to f3, rook to g1. In short, it's mate follows. Okay, let's look at the other possibility for white, because in the other possibility, so as I told you, there are two possibilities. One with the bishop being developed with a fianchetto, and the other with the bishop being developed normally to e7. Here our setup is slightly different, so pay attention. We always play knight, knight to c3, short castling, long castling. And now just for the record, I have to tell you that the best move for black, here's d5, which is a bit of a strange move because, well, let's say black is under an x-ray attack. So it's a move you usually wouldn't want to make with the queen on d8. But in reality, it's the strongest move. I'll tell you in advance, nothing serious happens. We can capture, and after that we have a lot of options here. We can also capture here, or we can simply move the queen and try to create some tactics later on to, let's say, attack the queen on d8. In general, the position is equal, but well guys, as you know, I try to give you an objective evaluation. I'm not here to tell you, this is the ultimate opening to refute chess. That doesn't exist. And black will always have moves, played by strong players of course, that can give them an equal position. But here, okay, if they play d5, we capture, it's not a problem. But in fact, most people play d6, which is, let's say, a normal move where they develop their pieces and control the e5 square. Here, in my opinion, it's not worth playing with the f3 g4 structure because there's no fianchetto to attack. Here, in my opinion, the structure should be with f4 because we're aiming to play the move e5. At this point, black, let's say, also obviously tries to attack, maybe plays a 6, also because developing the bishop like this could be risky, since sooner or later the move f5 would obviously force it back. So probably a 6, and here our thematic move is queen to g3. This move is very useful. We gain better control over the e5 square, and of course we also potentially free up the bishop's activity. Okay, black continues to develop, let's say, and at this point we start positioning our pieces to prepare the e5 push. For example, after rook to b8, e5 is already a very strong move. You can see how this knight doesn't have many squares. And after the exchanges, actually, the knight can go here, and it might seem like black is attacking our queen. Oh, scary. But actually, this way of playing is simply wrong because I just moved the queen, and now the knight will have serious difficulties once I push the pawn to g4. And probably, to try to save this knight, black will already have to look for emergency solutions, right? Giving the square to the knees, giving the square to the knight, but simply white now attacks with great force. Maybe you can even play g4 in one go, but to be safe, play h3 first and then g4, and obviously in this position white is very aggressive. Now calmly, okay, probably here you also need to consider some tactics with the bishop. For example, maybe here bishop e6 already gives us the chance to play bishop h6. But again, I wanted to show you more of the ideas, not so much the tactical ones. Okay, so let's pretend that black doesn't make a mistake and plays with queen e8, and we continue like this. Then here, okay, we can do the same bishop h6, and then basically we get ready to break through on the king side. So let's say the ideas are more or less similar with this. In this variation, let's say we play with this structure with f4, and in the other one, where black goes for the fianchetto, we preferred the structure with f3. Obviously, first we would develop and then play with the f3 structure. In both cases, in my opinion, white has a very interesting game if black doesn't know the theory well. These are positions that can lead to a win. I myself, I repeat, have played them a couple of times. Maybe I hadn't reviewed the theory well and ended up coming out of the opening at a big disadvantage. So these are very interesting variations. I hope you can try them out in your own practice. As usual, let me know if you already knew these variations and if you've ever played them in a tournament. And as always, to support the channel, leave a like, a comment, and of course subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I'll see you in all the upcoming videos. Bye.